Hello there, Mad Mike here, and welcome back to the channel. And today we are going to be going over the trailer for the new Amazon Prime series, Hunters, starring Al Pacino. And this is interesting and also kind of curious given the content that is being presented. So we're going to go through the trailer. I'll give a little bit of my thoughts, but we'll just try and break down the trailer and see what elements are at work here. Now, as we actually go into the beginning of the trailer, it's a monologue. Most of the trailer is a monologue by Al Pacino, and he's talking basically about we find out at the end that he's actually talking to a group of people, but at the beginning it looks like he's just kind of talking to the audience. But he's stating that basically he's going on a very kind of roundabout explanation of what we're seeing on screen, where basically we start seeing all these anagrams of Nazi paraphernalia. Well, eventually we get to the Nazi paraphernalia. I shouldn't say that doesn't directly go into it, but they start going over these things where we see like a bunch of lights light up in this bunker and a bunch of stuff. I'm assuming this doesn't take place in modern day. I'm assuming this takes place maybe somewhere around like the 60s or 70s, just based on the haircuts and stuff like that. You know, we don't see any cell phones or anything like that. So I'm guessing this probably takes place around that time period. And it would make a lot more sense that it would, given the subject matter. But we go through the trailer and we start seeing basically all this stuff where there's a bunch of people that are being either stalked or questionably looked at or stuff like that. A lot of them are African American. We do see some other stuff. Al Pacino, by the way, appears to be playing somebody who is, I think the accent is German, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it's Polish or something like that. I can't really tell, but he's speaking as, he presents himself basically as a World War II survivor, as a Holocaust survivor. I think that's what he's being presented as. And as we go through the trailer, we start seeing, all this Nazi paraphernalia pop up. They see the little the cross, the little Nazi cross that they used to carry, the black one. Somebody finds a medal inside of a dresser with that. We see a picture of what looks like a Nazi officer from back in World War II. And then it continues forward, and it goes into a few more scenes where there's a scene where we actually see what looks like a barcode tattoo. The barcode tattoos, or at least it looks like numbers. It doesn't look like a barcode, which I'm kind of curious about, because I think the older tattoos that the Nazis used to give the Jews when they were in the concentration camps were actually barcodes. They weren't just numbers. I could be wrong about that, but it looks like a list of numbers that's on somebody's arm. It looks like it's kind of smeared in blood, so it's kind of like a fresh tattoo. Maybe that's a flashback of some sort. And then we see kind of like a brief glimpse of, like, there's a bunch of board members. Looks like they're all drinking coffee and a bunch of stuff. And basically what they're trying to convey is that there are Nazis left over from World War II, or descendants maybe of Nazis or something like that, that are in America to some extent. And at the end of the trailer, we then get kind of the action montage where Al Pacino turns and we see this group of people. Looks like there's a nun that's smoking. There's a few guys, a few women. Again, kind of the hairstyles kind of give away that it's kind of like the 60s or the 70s. A lot of the African Americans have very large afros and stuff like that. And the dress, the actual physical clothing looks very similar to kind of that time period. But then we go into an action montage. We see like Al Pacino stab a guy in the hand with a knife, and some people shooting people and stuff like that. And basically, what we're being introduced to is the idea that there are Nazis secretly in America, like I said before, and these people are being brought in and trained by Al Pacino to hunt them down and kill them. And Al Pacino literally says in the trailer, "This is not murder. This is mitzvah." And mitzvah in Jewish culture is a good deed. That's why they call it a bar mitzvah. But that's what he is. Good. So it's very obvious that he's Jewish and stuff like that. So you kind of they make that very plain, at least in that statement. If you're familiar with I think it's Yiddish. I can't remember. But the point is that this is very interesting. I mean, it's not set in modern times, which if it was set today, I would think more skeptically of it. Because of the subject matter and because of the way that things are today. Again, kind of like Universal Pictures' The Hunt, which ironically has a very similar name to this. But this is something that I don't necessarily think is bad, but I feel like this could be very easily used as a platform for the social justice warrior, the soapbox shouting and all that stuff. But here's the thing: is that they don't really show me anything in this trailer that would necessarily make me jump immediately to that conclusion. It is set in a time frame when actual racial prejudices were very, very prominent. Again, if this is set in the time frame that I'm guessing it's set in, so it would make more sense being placed in that area. Also, you would actually have living Nazi officers that would be like 95 years old. But the other question is, I've seen this done in other movies before, and I've seen it done a little bit better in certain movies, and a little more taken more of a serious light. Even though some of the movies that I'm thinking of are not necessarily 100% truthful in certain matters, but stuff like Marathon Man with Dustin Hoffman and Roy Schneider, or stuff like The Boys from Brazil with Gregory Peck. Things like that. It reminds me a bit of that because again, those are set kind of in this same sort of time frame. But this seems like it's taken it to like almost like a Kingsman type of level in terms of you've over accentuated the violence, you've over accentuated the kind of actiony feel of it. Again, the first part of the trailer doesn't have a whole lot of action, and it is just basically showing you all this imagery and getting you into the mood. But then the last part of the trailer, the last like 10-15 seconds shows you all these little action scenes and stuff like that. So it's marketing itself with the first trailer anyway as an action set piece. So again, I don't necessarily have a problem with this right now, but I think the first episode of the series is going to be very, very telling whenever it comes out. And if we keep track of this and we actually watch the first episode, I think you're going to see if this is going to be one of those soapbox series where you're going to see people preaching about how they're going to use they're going to use the past to describe modern allegory, or they're going to use the past as an allegory to describe modern problems. And I think that could very easily ruin a series like this in terms of the story structure and the narrative. But again, only time is going to tell. As a first trailer, I didn't think it was bad. I think it gave away just enough. We don't know anything about the main characters, which is good. We know a lot about Al. Well, we can discern a lot about Al Pacino's character, but the rest of the characters are complete mysteries. We don't know anything about them, again, which is a good thing, especially if we're going to be following all these characters around throughout this show. You don't want to give too much away in the first trailer. I don't think they did. We don't necessarily know any of the major antagonist players in this, although we may have seen glimpses of them throughout the trailer. So, that's all kind of on the table. But like I said, I don't really think it was a bad first trailer. I'm a little concerned about the series just because it seems like it's very easily manipulatable to become a soapbox for the social justice warrior narrative. But again, I'm not going to condemn it to that right now because I don't necessarily see that in the trailer. I just see, what I've just described. But I want to know what you think. Like I said, like I usually do, I'm going to link the trailer in the description below. So if you would like to watch it, you can. Post your comments. Are you excited about this series? Are you interested in it after watching the trailer? Do you think this is going to be another train wreck, similar to how Watchmen looked in its first trailer? I'd like to know your thoughts. Put them in the comments below. Hit the bell for notifications, hit the like button, subscribe, and remember, I live my life free of compromise. Do you?